I walk through the shadow of death left to fear. This is a journey through the halls of hell.
Yes people, what is good? I am BA, back once again with another review for you this week. Now, this week I've decided to talk about my favourite British film of all time. UK cinema does have a lot of classics. Unfortunately, less and less movies are being made over here nowadays. But every now and again, something truly great is still produced over here. So this is more an advertisement for my people who watch this channel internationally that might not have seen this movie yet. And it is called Dead Man's Shoes, directed by Shane Meadows. If you're not sure who that is, he also did a brilliant movie called This Is England, which is also worth watching. Dead Man's Shoes is also the first movie where I saw Paddy Considine in it, and his performance is absolutely incredible. He's the main character in this movie, and I genuinely think this was the project that put him on everyone's radar and got him most of the work he has had since this. And it also co-stars a guy called Toby Kebbell, who I'm not too familiar with outside of this movie, but then last year I was reacting to Black Mirror and he does actually appear in one of the early Black Mirror seasons as the main character of his episode. Now, the premise of this movie sounds like an almost typical revenge film setup, but it's so much more than that. But the basic premise is Paddy Considine is an older brother and Toby Kebbell is his younger brother. Paddy Considine goes to the military and his younger brother has mental difficulties which cause the local gangsters to bully him and pick on him and be cruel to him while his big brother is away at the army. And the film starts with the older brother returning from the army back to the hometown, and he now has the information that this local gang has been cruel to his little brother while he has been away. And that sets the course of events we see throughout the film in motion. And the two brothers have such an interesting dynamic because Paddy Considine is so furious and heartbroken at the information he's heard as to how these guys treated his brother, but the whole time his brother's there with him, being very sheepish but at the same time helping identify the perpetrators, etc. And it just shows that even during a revenge mission, his little brother clearly would never hurt a fly. So what makes this different than your typical revenge film? Well, first of all, I feel like it focuses on a type of gangster which we don't often see in cinema, which is the big fish in the small pond. People think organised crime begins and ends in major cities, and it's just not true. In fact, a lot of criminals who couldn't make it in big cities end up filtering out to the neighbouring smaller towns to try and carve off a little piece for themselves where it's less treacherous. And that process continues and continues until every single little town far, far away from all your big cities also has a small criminal element. And unfortunately, in these towns, these criminals think they are just as big a godfather as the guy that controls the drug trade in the capital city of their country, just because they're not opposed by any other gangs. And I've brushed shoulders with these sort of types throughout my life, and you do get people like this in every small town throughout the United Kingdom. No matter where you go, someone is dealing drugs from their residence and think they're the fucking godfather. And spoiler alert, they have no idea how wrong they would be if they tried to get away with what they did in a larger city. So to me, that instantly makes it unique because we've got this guy who's coming back from the military on a warpath, but it's not against a serious organised crime unit. It's actually against a bunch of pathetic individuals who have a veil, a layer, a curtain of respect and striking fear into the community. But all it takes is a man like Richard, which is the name of Paddy Considine's character in the film, to expose them for the bunch of cowards they actually are. I also kind of like it because it sheds light on that low-level drug shit in the UK. You know, not everything is a big bag of cocaine and a briefcase of money. You get these people who, you know, pick up a little half ounce of narcotic at a time and then go back and bring back their 300 or 500 or £1,000 and get another half ounce, etc. And I think that's a more interesting level of crime to focus on because these guys are all idiots, all making mistakes, all think they're more dangerous than they actually are. There's a whole layer of complete bullshittery to that level of the drugs trade. But the real reason I like it is it's about a completely fearless man, and these people are so used to ruling by fear in their little community that they just do not understand they have lit a fuse they are no longer able to control. It's the equivalent of a gang of hyenas who have spent their life feasting on carcasses, now standing across from a fully fully-grown lion and thinking that their hyena prowess still in any way holds weight. It's also in parts an angering film when you get flashbacks to how cruel they were to his little brother. It's a sad film, it's a moving film, and I'll never forget the first time I finished watching it because I've never been able to forget about that movie since, and it's something that every few years I find myself watching again, and every time I find myself watching it, I also find myself sitting there thinking, wow, this is probably the best movie Great Britain has ever made. That is just my opinion. There are so many legendary films that have been made throughout the history of British cinema, but me, personally, this is it. Such a great, moving, brilliantly directed and acted movie. You can tell it wasn't made for too much of a budget, but that genuinely doesn't matter in the slightest because the acting performances are so good and the story is so good, you will not notice that there hasn't been much money spent on screen. So yeah, if you like your revenge stories and you want to see one which is right up there with Count of Monte Cristo in my opinion, do yourself a favour and check out Dead Man's Shoes. It's like an anti-bullying campaign administered through the barrel of a gun. And that has been my review of Dead Man's Shoes. I hope you've enjoyed it, and until next week, like, subscribe, comment, all of that good stuff. I have been BA. Peace.